going to be playing up on that omen, as we did see last week again in the qualifiers for this NSG tournament. But at this point, Ryan, just kind of need to go through the motions, right? It's round by round. We can start to get accustomed with names, but let's get accustomed to the frags. It's a Skadoodle rolling back the years and grabbing.
I think timing is one of the few teams that I think could really throw in a curveball. So you would expect them to qualify. If they don't, that's a really big telling sign for them that they really need to practice hard if they want to prepare for first strike.
Right.
But you would expect them to do fine. DaZeD is going to find a lot of early pressure. Gets flashed twice, actually. The paranoia is going to catch him out. Still manages to survive, though. And even Skadoodle is going to be able to try and get some stuff in, but has to dash out as he can't get a kill onto Morgausse, who does get the frag onto DaZeD, who's on the site.
You know, a little bit of a rough scenario. Skadoodle, a legendary opper coming in from the Counter-Strike community, but at least in that scenario, got a little bit overwhelmed. Too many pixels to aim at. It starts to be a mismanagement of frags, and you just couldn't get one of them. But now at this point, you have Ninja in the front lines with a turret right in front of him. Of course, that would indicate whether a player is actually making their way onto site coming in from heaven. And now at this point, the only thing that Ninja really needs to watch is going to be the angle right behind him, because T1, they're going for exit kills at this point. Ninja going to be able to get one. Still a couple more players looking around. It's actually going to be Spyder collecting 3 out of that interaction. And there you go, Tom.
I mean, they're expecting them to play a bit more distant, play for the retake, but facing like this is super aggressive. If T1 get caught out here, that's a big ask, but a lot of utility already been dedicated, shows them up, and paranoia is good. It can't get the kill onto Brax, though, and ACK is even able to get free as they're all trying to make their way onto the site. Can't make a fourth, but Brax is there. That was a really solid. They're going to play super aggressively. They have the rolling thunder, so they really wanted to push these players off mid. T1 are almost falling into it, congregating. They can see that the rolling thunder is available, and Scar's even going to face it. Just holds the angle, gets out. This operator change certainly suited T1, but not as aggressive as TSM, for example. But right now, Ninja and the rest of the time, and they're just walking into this operator, and Skadoodle's holding him at bay. And suddenly, this attack is losing a lot of its momentum.
It's lost full, and to the extent at the very beginning, Ryan, we saw what was a default setup from time in, to the extent where it's just a couple of players looking for early picks, and most of these players from T1, they weren't really searching for frags. They weren't fishing for it, other than potentially Saya player or Spyder over towards A. He ended up getting taken down in terms of damage, but nothing more than that. Most of the players, they're just holding on to what would be off angles and just waiting for a hard approach, waiting for players to approach their crosshairs, and it just works out in their favor. Just a singular hold from good old Skadoodle is going to shut down the round. A big old save from
team alive, yet they're just so indecisive on where they want to push. They're hoping to catch up Brax on short, but kind of like I mentioned before, he knew how dangerous it was with the operator, that he can afford to play a little bit more passively, especially going into this eco round that is certainly wanted to get that operator off of it.
Look at that tight angle from Brax, and he still nails the kill onto Dani. There's a little bit more work to do. Couple of players over towards main. It's going to have to be split pressure from Spyder, and Spyder helps out. There you go. And not only that, but Brax pulls out the Sheriff. It's the Wild West. And now Ninja is the last one remaining in a 1v4. He does have the Vandal that he ended up picking up off of AZK's body, but with the spike all the way down and short, the best thing that Ninja can do at this point is save.
Still wants to try and catch somebody out potentially, but this A site is being anchored so well by Spyder, and even saved the paranoia to this point is even more surprising to me than the frags that he was able to get. Can at least add another to his tally. And I got a sort of prerequisite. What I mean about T1, Skadoodle, never mind, actually gets collateral. 2 frags with 1 shot into Kurt and Grego. He's been so strong on this B site. He's moved around agents frequently, and I think has struggled to find his sort of role on the team. But he's had a really good game on this Jet. The operator and Jet have changed quite a lot since we last saw these guys. Much more passive playstyle than the aggressive Wardell that plays that you would typically see, at least. He's already done a lot of damage and timing, looking to only have 4 rounds on this attacking side.
That's disastrous, to say the least. And not only that, but Here we go. Sai, are you actually going to go for it? Skadoodle. I mean, Skadoodle doing Skadoodle things once again. Yet another player going to be walking up right towards A main. And that's been his area this entire game. He hasn't gone for any of the cheesy B main strats that you would usually see from the Sova. But Morg, he tries to tell...
They hit, but this is a lot of space given up on mid, which could really bite time in on the backside. Ninja set up with the alarm bot on mid, so at least they'll know if people push that way. But this is a lot of people running into B. Morgausse is going to push. He's able to get one at least before Brax takes him down. He's immediately met by Grego at least. And Kurt's made his way to the back on site. That flash is nice at least. Takes out Spyder. And is trying to get more, but AZK able to get the frag. Spike should be planted, but it's a nice juicy 2v2. Once they can decide what they want to do.
Right, exactly. I'm really just waiting out for what would be the spike plant because they had a lot of time for it. Really just trying to clear out. But again, they wait enough time that even Util is getting pulled out. But Ninja goes down and it's actually DaZeD to step up to the plate.
Starting off with a win like this is going to feel pretty good on a group that they are very much clear favorites into making playoffs as the top seed. So everything's going to plan. Spyder's able to at least get one before Morg could trade him out. And he's just been an utter pest on A main, both on the attacking and defending side. Rotation hasn't necessarily come in from timing just yet, but they're expecting an A hit. And T1 are all mid, so they could change this around if they wanted to.
Surely so, but they're still going to keep up in short. There is going to be graveyard presence where Morg is actually going to go down on A. Now here comes Grego with a little bit of a spray down. He tried to transfer on the spray, but what is going on? He gets completely dazed and amazed just from that flash alone. And well, in comes DaZeD with a kill. That's going to be an easy plant for him. Only two players remaining is going to be Dani and Ninja, ready and raring to go. And there you go. The recon bolt is going to help Dani out a little bit. And oh, the spray through. He does have the information onto AZK, but it's not exactly easy enough to spray through. Dani takes down AZK. Using that recon bolt, Ninja on the front line's gonna go down to DaZeD with the bulldog. Now Dani's the last person remaining with the almighty Odin in his hands. Still spraying on through, the jump coming in for DaZeD, but he gets the kill anyways. Skadoodle, watch the angle! No way does Dani win this! And he does! That's unbelievable! They had the ang! But it's all just disastrous.
I think that was a bit of arrogance on the...
And at this point, early util play is going to have to be very important for T1, as they do have the one-way set up, at least for Morg. They somehow need to make their way around it, and it does work. I mean, you had AZK in the front lines, using up the fault line and getting rid of Morg, and look at that, the Rolling Thunder is going to help them out bits. Ninja still around. He is dazed and amazed, as it's going to be AZK with a kill. And, well, now it's just a 4-on-3. Spike is finally going to go down.
Spike planted.
Now it's just down to 3 for, at least now, team, or not team 1, time in.
Dani's getting so many kills with this Odin. Still alive. I don't think he has a recon bolt available to him for quite some time, but luckily Grego and Kurt are able to get a few frags. AZK slipped in around, trying to catch this jet, is able to get at least 4 frags, but can't get the final one as Grego just sits a bit more patiently on the back of site. Looking to upgrade the gun, grab an operator, I think, on the... Oh, no, just a nice... Oh, no, the operator.
Yeah,
I was going to say, like, going all that distance to get a different colored vandal might have been... seemed a bit much, but yeah, you're right. Time in the... Morg is playing right at the back, so he's expecting it, I think. He's expecting Rolling Thunder to come through. Yeah, he has actually been hit at the back of sight, so he's just going to be patiently holding there and actually dedicates to getting the ultimate to just make sure that he can play a bit more safely. But Brax is lurking in mid. That's the beneficial factor of having a Cypher, but misses him completely. Hears it, must have done, but doesn't peek him to try and catch it out. In fact, it's going to wait there. This is going to be much help for his team because he's played so late to see if anybody will come through mid to try and catch him out on short.
That was at least massive for now, but you still have one is a little bit of a pinch. 2 players over towards main, but it's actually Spyder to make his way back on and get himself a couple. Ninja, there you go. He grabs 2, but that's going to be it for the round. So himself in a pit. Couple of players, or at least one without a gun, and it's actually Skadoodle stepping on up with the ulti, but it's simply not going to work out in his favor. It's a very quick take over towards B, and Brax is going to take down 2. Dani in the back lines. He had the last hope, but he simply couldn't capitalize. Grego, he's already near Nice boathouse, waiting for the smoke to dissipate. Spyder is right behind it. Oh. Still going to be held up, but he teleports on back. There's still 2 players in the back of sight. Spyder is just stuck over towards main. He's not getting spotted either, but now at this point, he's just going to have to come down to the last 2 players over towards the back of sight. It's going to be Brax. Uh-oh. No.
He's taking so much attention, though. He's still there.
It's rough.
He's still being a nuisance. Morg has to try and clear it, and luckily he's able to get a few kills. The defuse is going to come in from Grego, and that looked good from T1. It was just that they couldn't rush up from Spyder. He's sat in the smoke. If it dissipates at the wrong time, Spyder's able to get this frag. It depends who's got the better flick at this point.
Ooh.
It's Spyder.
Of course
that
it is.
Nice patient play. And suddenly now time in are struggling to sort of cover that ground. They have people rotating over, and T1 haven't budged at all. They don't need to really stress. They can put a bit of pressure onto mid, try and clear it. But now they're in the heads of time in, and with a pretty awesome play, may I add.
Absolutely. I mean, Spyder, Saya player, known as at least one of the better players in Overwatch, purely based off mechanics. And coming over to Valorant wasn't exactly a surprise for me, at least for this team. Absolutely it was. But here we go again. Ryan, is going to be yet another chaotic scenario here on site, where somehow this T1 squad, they've waltzed their way in just through smokes. And speaking of smokes, AZK is actually going to beam Dani right through it. Grego on the back lines. He has an opportunity for at least one, but he's not going to be able to capitalize on any more. Huge rolling thunder. Skadoodle takes down Morg. Still 1 more player remaining, and it's going to be Ninja now in a 1v4. Still stuck in heaven, and not only that, the lockdown ends up going down. Skadoodle with yet another one. That's his 2nd on the round, and it goes all the way down to the wire.